Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Kalwas. This is your host, Dr. Haider Shah. As you know, our goal is to introduce you to the people who are contributing to the world and to inspire people to work on their dreams and to get to the next level of success. So today our topic is very interesting, and we have been requested a lot by the a lot of audience that please have a session on myths about PhD. That most of the time, what happens that we have a lot of myths regarding the PhD, and people are afraid of taking the step to be a research student. So before having that interesting session, so let me just introduce my guest. So I start with the first guest, which is Dr. Gul Erkol Berum. She is associate professor in the School of Tourism and Hotel Management, Department of Tour Guiding at the University of Sinop, where she has been a faculty member since 2016. She is also a head of tour guiding department. She completed her PhD at Sakarya University and her undergraduate studies at Bilikasi University. She has been also a professional tour guide for 10 years, and her research interests lie in the area of tourism management, policy and planning, organizational behavior, tour guiding, and women studies. Welcome to the Kalwas platform. It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Gul. We have another guest, that is Dr. Jatish Kumar. He is a senior lecturer at the School of Hospitality, Tourism and Events, Associate Director for Information Management and Documentation at Center for Research and Innovation in Tourism, Taylor University, Malaysia. His doctorate is from Taylor's University in Hospitality and Tourism, with research on economic impact of business events in Malaysia. He has two postgraduate degrees, specialties, a professional master's in hospitality management and international tourism from University of Toulouse, France, and the other in business administration MBA marketing from Hamdard University, Pakistan. His research areas include the economic impact, economic modeling, the medical tourism, behavioral studies, etc. He has worked on consultancy and research projects at national and international level and authored 35 plus research publication, including in the books, chapters, etc. Along with that, he is an active member of several national and international association, conferences, and journals. He is also serving as a associate editor for Asia Pacific Journal Innovation in Hospitality and Tourism. Recently, he has offered webinars, guest speeches for universities in Philippines, India, Japan, Indonesia, China, Australia, and Pakistan. Dr. Jatish Kumar, welcome to the Kalwas platform again, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Okay, we
Thank
have
you.
the our guest is the Dr. Ghulam Rasool. He has received the PhD degree in applied mathematics from one of the world's leading university, that is Zhejiang University, China. He has over 13 years of administrative and academic experience in well-reputed and international recognized institutions. He is currently affiliated with the Nanjing University of Information Science and Technology, China, as an assistant professor of mathematics. He has published more than 38 research articles in different well-reputed international journals, with a total impact factor over 80 and H index with 16 in Web of Sciences. His research has already been cited over 550 times in internationally published articles. His mostly experience has been working in academic sector and has expertise in the area of fluid dynamics, the MHD fluids, nanofluids, the differential equations, and mathematical modeling of real-world problems. He is a potential reviewer for more than 25 top-ranking research journals of the world, and he is also the editorial board member in Academic Journal of Applied Mathematics Sciences. So, Dr. Ghulam Rasool, welcome to the Kalwas platform, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show as well.
Thank
Okay,
you.
the fourth guest is the Sundar Sazin. She has been associated with the teaching as a lecturer for past 6 years. Currently, she is a lecturer at Zabist University, Islamabad, and she worked in the domain of OB, industrial psychology, and her research area interests are impression management, attribution, and divines. Welcome to the Kalwas, Ms. Sundar Sazin, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. So, after introducing the our guest, since we have very interesting topic today, that is the myth about the PhD. Most of the time, we are afraid of this
Uh,
PhD. That what
the,
kind
the,
of
the,
PhD is, how to take the this journey, all these things. So
Dr.
let
Sorry
me
to
just start with
interrupt
you.
you.
Yes, please.
I think you need to accept Dr. Jitesh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has been accepted. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let me just, Dr. Jatish Kumar, can you hear us? Dr. Jatish Kumar, can you hear us? I
Yes,
think
yes,
he,
I do.
yeah,
Sorry, there was
yeah.
some interruption.
No, no problem, no problem. Okay, Dr. Jatish Kumar, let me start with you. That there is one very interesting question. The myth is in order to do a PhD, you have to be genius. So the question is, what are the skills required for PhD? It means critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, analytical skills, presentation skills. Are what are the requirement or what are the skills required for a PhD? Because the person says that most of the time they have been recommended that you must have a very good academic background with 4 GPA, etc. So please clarify this myth. Yes, Dr. Jatish, can you hear us? Dr. Jatish, can you hear us?
Thank you so much, Dr. Heather. Yes, I can hear you. Actually, your voice was breaking. So what I got, let me try my best to answer this question. Your question was about the skills, background, uh, in terms of
Yes.
CGPA and all those to start your PhD, right? Uh, uh, am I audible enough?
Yes, you are audible. Please carry
That's
on.
okay.
Yes, carry on, please.
Dr. Heather, confirm me. Can you hear me, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Regarding myths about PhD, actually, there are so many myths. It's not necessary that everyone is. It's not necessary as per my experience. Actually, it is not necessary that you have to be very genius or intelligent if you want to start a PhD. Actually, compared to earlier 30, 40 years back, 4 decades back, actually, when we used to hear someone has finished a PhD, he's supposed to be, that was our assumption, that he's supposed to be a senior citizen, 50, 60, 70s. But now, actually, if we see, immediately after graduation, many people complete their PhD, actually, because it's become very, very easier. And the entire idea is that it's not necessary that you have to be very intelligent. Actually, it's only the hard work, and it's your belief that what exactly you want to achieve in your life, actually. And while talking about different skills, actually, skills, no one used to come in this world with all those skills. Actually, everything we used to learn in the process. So every time, actually, whatever we are doing, we are learning what type of skills you are required. It's subject to what field, in what field you are going to start your PhD. Suppose if I talk about my field, tourism, hospitality, leisure management, events, social sciences, actually, we have a different skills required. But if we talk about Dr. Ghulam Rasul, applied mathematics, actually, I used to run away from this field, but I'm ending up with this, because without that mathematical analytical tools, actually, I can't perform my job, and I cannot publish, I cannot go further. And another discipline, which is economics, actually, also I used to run away from that module when I was doing my bachelor's, but I ended up with doing 50% of my PhD, part of my PhD, with microeconomics, actually. So I learned, even though I was running away in my bachelor's during my BBA, those programs, actually, but it doesn't mean that we cannot learn, actually. And when we grow up, when we see different culture, different backgrounds, different people, we are learning. It's not only that you are reading. Now, most of the time, I watch, or I just YouTube rather than I Google, actually. Every
True.
time we are exploring new tools. Actually, earlier we used to use just SPSS. Now every time we have a new tool, we came up with the MOS, PLS, and new versions are coming up. But I don't like to read, actually. When it comes to learning about these new tools, actually, just YouTube it. So we can watch and instantly we can follow the steps, and when you do twice, thrice, four times, actually you will be very perfect with it. And if someone is starting the PhD, don't know what type of skills required, actually explore, talk to people, and don't be shy, because if you are shy now, actually you will be shy for a longer time. Okay, so it is your job, actually you have to hunt that who is the right person to talk with. And if I take opportunity to continue for 2 more minutes, uh, rather than looking for universities, look for the right person who can supervise you for 2 3 4 years 5 years, actually during your PhD. Actually don't go for university. Well, universities rankings are most important, but find the person who you are going to marry for next 3 4 years, actually, because that will be the father, mother, husband, wife, everything for you, because you have to listen to him. If he or she is happy, you can finish on time. And of course it is ups and down job. Actually the journey is very tough, and I'm sure we will be having a number of questions related to that, the journey, so I can share my thoughts accordingly later as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for a very interesting answer, Dr. Jitish Kumar, by clarifying the things. Now, Dr. Ghulam Rasul, I would like to ask the question from you that most of the time we hear that thing that when is the right time for to do a PhD? Right after completion of BS or MS, or taking the industry experience for 4 to 5 years and then come back to the academia again and then conduct your research work in your PhD journey. So there is a blend of advices from the different people regarding when is the right time to do a PhD. So what do you recommend, Dr. Ghulam Rasul?
Uh, Thank you for this question. I personally believe that it's a very big decision to go into PhD. And like my perception is that once you have decided to enter into PhD, 50% of your PhD is done, because that decision making power is most crucial stage, because you have been listening to the people, they are telling you different stories that PhD will do this to you, your hairs will be gone, your age will be gone, you will be you will, when you will finish your PhD, you will be retired person, you will be old age and all those, and your social life will be finished. So this all these things are creating a lot of pressure on your mind. Now I think that when you are able enough to make a decision that you actually want to go for a PhD, then go for it. So once you have that power, it is very simple. Once you have that power to decide that, okay, I'm going for a PhD, just go for it. Whether you just have finished the master degree or you have 5 years of industrial experience. If you don't have the courage to enter into PhD, don't enter. But if you have got that courage, then go for it. So
Yeah.
it depends on situation. Different people, they face different situations. For example, for me, I was having a permanent government job in Pakistan, and it was a very difficult decision to go for PhD by resigning that job. So
Yes.
that's why my perception is very much dependent on the decision making power.
Yes.
Maybe different people, they are experiencing different kind of situations, but I personally, when after finishing my PhD, my personal thinking is that once you have enough power to decide that, okay, I'm going for a PhD, then just enter into PhD. The 50% of your work is done. I
Yes.
believe 50% of your PhD is done when you fully decided, okay, that I'm going for PhD. The rest is just you know that the first step is always difficult. So
True.
once you have taken that first step, then the rest is just a path. You have to move on. You have to follow it. So
Yes.
that stage is difficult. Once you have got that power, just go for it.
Yes, very nicely said, Dr. Ghulam Rasul. Very wonderful. Dr. Gul, we would like to ask you a question. Since you have worked in academia as well as you have worked in the industry for the more than a decade, so please just clarify one thing. There is one very popular question that does the PhD is a full-time job? Should we treat the PhD like a job for 30 to 40 hours a week? Is it so, or we can do it partly? What's your comment on that?
Yes. Thanks for your question, dear professor. Before my PhD journey, I was working as a professional tour guide in Turkey, and I like my job very much. Because tourism industry is very enjoyable sector in the economy, I think, and also my dear college Dr. Jites know this. But when we look into PhD journey and in the academical career, it needs, I think, so hard working. It needs so patience. It needs many difficult requirements. But also, this question can be answered related to departments, related to research area, and related to your science. It is completely close relationship with your science. For example, my department it is tourism. Tourism is related, mostly related with tourism industry, tourism workers, and we should make science in hotels, with tourists and with tour guides. Maybe some research, some academician can think that they are on a holiday when we are make research. It depends on what do they do when you are research, because we should observe tourists in the cultural tour, and during this time maybe we can have a holiday, but also a research in for example, what can I say, maths education only works on labs and only works on small rooms. So I can answer to this question. It mostly relates on your departments and your science. Sorry, Professor, I can't hear you now.
Okay, very nicely said, Dr. Gul. We have very interesting question while I was reading to this. We would like to have a comment from Sundar Azim regarding that. That
Most
most of the time there is the PhD is boring. Studying for a PhD is about sitting in dark corner reading and writing. Is it so? Your mic
Yes.
is mute.
I think it is not uncommon issue, and also it is related with, for example, you may well have heard rumors that studying for a PhD is about staying in a dark corner, as you said. Also, these rumors and thinkings can't be anymore long, because especially in the COVID-19 times, we need more outside working areas. And in the tourism industry, there is a big market related with working in outside places. So I can say that if you want to work as an academician, you can make a choice, a tourism industry related with, for example, Airbnb, maybe you know. While you are working and while you are doing your thesis, you can also have an holiday. And also, so I would like to say that you don't you don't need to bored when you are doing research. And also, being meets a creative ideas surrounded by the vibrant student community is a special privilege that one should cherish for as long as it lasts. So a PhD could be compared to a magic potion for eternal youth and an experience that never fades away. So I would like to conclude my saying with, if you want to doing research, you don't need to only work on your homes and in a small rooms. You can go outside and you can take your computer and take your notes and take your books, and you can work on outside with a very cherishing atmosphere in near the sea, and you can I think learn in this mode very well.
Very nicely, very elaborative one. One
You
question I would like to, yeah, one thing I would like to ask all of you. That's a very interesting question. I would take all of you opinion on that. The question is, what is the role of seniors in guiding you? Because most of the time our supervisor, they are not available due to their busy schedule, super busy schedule. So we discuss our thesis with the seniors most of the time. The question is that what is the role of senior in guiding? And if we get opinion of others, it means we are taking their likes and dislikes. So it means we are not discussing our own likes and dislikes, because we are more inclined towards the seniors decisions. So I would like to start with the Dr. Ghulam Rasool, that please clarify what is the role of seniors in writing the thesis or writing the research question, objective, whatever it is. So if you take a lot of opinion from your seniors, so it means you are not doing by your own, you are doing only by the direction of seniors. So please clarify this issue.
I think you have chosen the right guy to ask this question first. When I went to Zhejiang Zhejiang University for PhD, there was no senior from any foreign country.
Oh,
So we only had the Chinese senior, and the problem is most of the time that we can't communicate with the Chinese friends.
oh,
So
okay.
they are a little bit shy and all many factors. So I was struggling a lot. Like even when I first entered there, it took me 2 days to find the department because of different different reasons, and because there was no senior who can take me to the professor and all. So this, I personally believe that senior. It is not necessary that senior can guide you in the research only or in your degree or education only. A senior is always a blessing, and
Yes.
in many aspects it's not about the education only,
Yes.
because when you move to if, if you are like if you have done masters from a university and you are going to do PhD from the same university, then somehow you are already okay with that. But when you are moving to a new place, then definitely you need someone there who can tell you something new about that place so that you can settle down earlier. If you have a senior over there, then you can settle down in a like you can spend that time which you waste in finding the new things. You can spend that time to settle down in your research area by the guidance of the senior. So I will sum up that a senior is a blessing and their role is major. I'm not talking about the research only, I'm not talking about the education only. Senior have many roles in your social lives, in making you easy over there in the new place. So
Okay.
I will agree with this, that the seniors are having a key role to make you settle down there later. Of course, PhD is a I already told you that PhD is not just a piece of paper. It is an entire life which you spend in those 3 to 4 years.
Mm.
And of course, you have to deal with your entire life yourself. Of course, you have to deal with your PhD yourself, and even supervisor is not there to take you out of that struggle. It is you who have to do this.
True.
But when you enter into a new place, the first few months are very important, and in that time, your seniors can play an important role.
Yeah, very nicely said, very elaborative. As we say that researcher always they give the things with the references. So you give
Yeah.
the reference to strengthen your argument. Wonderful. You are a very good researcher as well. Please,
Thank
Dr. Jatish Kumar, comment on this. What is the role of senior, and how do you think that we should take seniors guidance in how much ratio?
Indeed, what Dr. Ghulam Rasul mentioned, seniors are blessings always because there are always things which we are getting in terms of instruction, in terms of suggestions. But if we talk a couple of years back, actually, because I am trying my best to fit in this question actually to understand this scenario. Because if we talk about 10 years back, actually, it was really a need that we need to talk to a person to understand that environment where we are entering to. But now the technology have took over some of the part actually. Even though
True.
if we are traveling to a new country, new university, new environment actually, so we can easily understand first what is the requirement, what will be the weather, what will be the circle, what will be the the places to go around, and the things, wants, needs to do, not to do things, all those things will be settled. But
Yes.
the seniors are still most important, specifically in the university, in the same program where you are entering to, or you are getting enrolled, to
Yes.
understand your supervisor first, to understand the rules and regulation of the university, because you have to be there for that time period, the duration of your PhD actually.
Mm.
Research is your own actually. Your seniors cannot guide you, because as per my belief actually, what I perceive actually, for our actual research actually, we shouldn't, it's not like we shouldn't talk to so many people actually. That's the reason we are going to conferences actually, to get the feedback and comments. But not take those suggestions seriously actually, because the serious matters only applies when you are talking directly to your supervisor. Because
Yes.
if you are talking to different professors actually, then this is the one of the major point where the conflict starts actually. So when
True.
you want to implement something or you want to change something, you have to listen to your supervisor. It's not necessary that your supervisor has to agree. You have to justify, and probably you have to fight with that. This is the citation, this is the reference. You cannot say my senior said. Who is the senior?
Yes.
Probably professor is much better. Actually, the supervisor is much on higher scale to the that senior. So
Yes.
indeed, both are playing. Both have to play in this particular shape actually. But we have to seek the what type of guidance we are requesting from or getting from seniors, and
you.
what we are exploring from internet, from the technology, especially these reviews and everything is available nowadays, e-word of mouth and so many. So this technology, I think technology have already taken probably 70 to 80% of that role.
Yes.
And
Very well.
we are already enriched, and we are already much ready to enter in the new environment.
Mm.
I believe so. Thank you.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Jatish Kumar.
Mhm.
Again, I would say that not only the argument just based on the references as well. Okay, we take the Sundas Azim take on that. What she thinks of the senior role, because she had just gone through these experiences, and she had the faculty member and she had the colleagues as well at that time. So, Miss Sundas Azim, what's your take on that, please?
I think the role of seniors is very important, and you cannot overlook the contribution that they can make towards, explaining to you the problems you might face and the possible solutions that you can find to the problems that you're facing. Particularly, the role of seniors who have been or are being supervised by the same supervisor as yours. Okay,
Yes.
so you might be working in a lab or in a research environment in which there are people working under various supervisors. So the kind of seniors you are talking about, some seniors might be being supervised by others. I'm particularly speaking about supervisor seniors who are being supervised by the same supervisor as yours. Probably they've had 2 more years with them, or maybe 6 more months with them, or they may or maybe not have faced the same problems that you are facing. So they can help you understand your supervisor's personality, what they might expect of you in terms of helping you understand that their role is very important. But let's be a bit more realistic. I think they can only guide you to a certain extent, because I personally believe each person's PhD journey is distinguishable in the sense that each person has a separate journey. So you might be facing some problems, you might be facing certain situations which your seniors might not have gone through in exact those terms. Maybe they face some other problems, so quite often you might not find the solution through your seniors also. So there's no need to be anxious about it, there's no need to worry about it. You can always find other possible avenues to find solutions to your problems. But yes, having said all this and having discussed this, the role of seniors is important, particularly of those seniors who have been supervised by the same supervisor as you. I would
Yeah,
like to.
very nice suggestion as well. Because the senior who have been supervised by the same supervisor will always give you the right direction because they have gone through the same experiences. Very nicely said, Ms. Sundar Sazin. Okay, now we take finally the comment of the Dr. Gul on the senior's role, and then we have very another interesting question which the Dr. Jatish Kumar also pointed out, which is very important aspect of supervisor. So we will talk about right after taking the comment from Dr. Gul. Yes, Dr. Gul, what's your comment on the role of the seniors?
Yes. When I was lecturer in a city in Turkey, I were doing in my PhD thesis and education, and so I should have a 18 hours journey with bus, and these are so tiring for me. When I was in my senior school, uh, we were talking about my thesis. My senior was very careful, and I would like to express my gratitude for that. But the most caring part in my thesis is only spelling rules, not my statistical analysis, not my literature review, not my conception basement. Only my spelling rules is the most important things in my PhD. So having a good background in a senior is so important, and good PhD supervisor is a life challenging, and if you have a good supervisor you are so lucky, I think. Unfortunately, my supervisor is very good, but only spelling rules, some mistakes with making a sentence, only for that. And also, there are many rules I would like to express. For example, your supervisor say many encouraging words, because these times is so hard and so tiring sometimes. Sometimes I would like to quit my PhD thesis, but thanks to my supervisor, every time he said to me, I would be success in the future, and I would be a good academician after my PhD. So there are many roles, not only having a good academic background, but a good characteristic as an academician is so important. Not only one, but many more I can say related with seniors. So I would like to conclude my suggestion that not every academician should be a supervisor. If you want to a supervisor in a PhD, you should be chosen academician, I think.
Okay, that's incredible, Dr. Gul. Thank you. Nice
Thanks.
answer. Yeah. So now we put a very interesting question, which you have pointed out, and Dr. Zatish Kumar also pointed out the role of supervisor. Okay, we have a wonderful, interesting comment. One of the question is picking the right supervisor is a lottery. How do we should pick this right supervisor? What to consider before choosing a supervisor? Sometimes we do not have a choice to pick the supervisor by the choice. Then what to do? So I would like to take the comment of Dr. Fulam Rasul first, that choosing the supervisor is a lottery. That could be billions on, and that could be none. So what to do in that case? Yes, please.
Yes, you can say it's a lottery, but I think this lottery is a kind of a biased lottery,
Okay.
because these days every like a single researcher, every professor, they have their public profile. Everything there is available on
Yes.
the website and everywhere. Now, if you are going for a PhD, and as Dr. Jitesh said that he's going to be your husband or wife for the next 3 to 4 years, your supervisor, his role will
Yes.
be very critical. So of course you have to decide. Now it's your, I'm still firm with my word that PhD, those 3 to 4 years of your PhD is actually your entire life, and you have to live your whole life in those 4 years. So if you are
Yes.
going to live your whole life in those 4 years, then decide first, do some research that who you are selecting to go and live with. If you select the right person, then your life will be easy.
True.
And it's not difficult to decide a right person, because everything about them is available. You can go to their profile, check their research interest, and match it with your interest. Don't just like, for example, I'm recently entered into professional life, but I randomly receive many emails every day from different people, and one is from biology, one is from computer science, and like this is not a good thing. At least you should first check the person, his profile, his research interest. If somebody is not matching, for example, you are going to marry someone in real life, then of course you should first check that whether his or she is compatible with you or not. If you will decide according to this criteria, your life will be easier. But if you
Yes.
will not do any research and you will jump into that decision, it will be a trouble. So it's very easy to check whether that person will be compatible with you or not. Just go to their profile and check their research interest. And after all, during the course of your PhD, everything is your research interest. If it
Yes.
is compatible with your supervisor, don't worry about any other issue. All the other issues are minor. If
True.
your supervisor is compatible with you, even like Dr. Gould said that her supervisor was just doing spell check, I will still say that he is doing a generous job with you, that, that he or she did the spell check. Even if he do not do it, but if his research is compatible with you, that is enough. You have to do your PhD yourself, and you have to take that burden yourself. Of course, supervisor guidance is very important, but it's the first decision that how why you are choosing him. So
True.
I think that making the decision at the right time and doing some research will make your life easy for the rest of the 4 years.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
decide carefully. It's not a
Yeah.
lot. It's not lottery, but it's a biased lottery, which you are
Yes.
the which you are a part of it when you are
Doing it.
heading the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Ghulam Rasul, that what you recommended is go after the research. Let's see, check the researcher profile, see the compatibility of your topic and your relevancy with your supervisor. Very nice comment. Thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Rasul. Okay, we take the opinion of Dr. Zitesh Kumar. So, what to do with the supervisor, and if you don't have any choice and you have been allocated one supervisor, then how to cope with the situation? And that would be a very difficult one as well when you don't have the choice. Then what to do? What do you recommend, please?
Dr. Heather, then you have only two choice: either to go with that university, or you have to choose again. Actually, you
Yeah.
have to struggle few months to find some other opportunity. Actually, because for me,
Yeah.
supervisor is the the suitable, compatible person is the
Yeah.
most important. Actually, rather than being supervised by someone actually who is not compatible. Actually, you will be struggling. You will
True.
be struggling. It's not only as Dr. Ghulam Rasul mentioned, yeah, compatibility with regarding the research scope, research field is most important, very very important. But beside this, understanding is also important actually, because what the normally other students used to face is a funding issue, getting stabilized in the new country, new environment, lot of things actually. So like someone was working full time, but he left the job to just finish his PhD, or to get the PhD degree actually. But he was married, so he has a dependency also. Actually, lots of things he has to settle. So check that supervisor have kind of funding or not. That's the reason actually I used to say, find the person, not the university. Actually, find the supervisor if that person has this kind of funding actually. So you don't need to be worried about that. And if you get supervised by that supervisor, that person who has the funding, then it's his headache. You have a headache of completing your PhD, but supervisor will have a headache also, because he has to finish your PhD within time period, because you are one of the outcome of his project.
True.
So this thing, to just supporting to the earlier question, but your question was, if you are not lucky enough, if you didn't get the lottery actually, then
Yes.
then probably you have to sit together with the supervisor at least first in the meeting and decide, and discuss the things actually, what is his expectation, what you can deliver, you can negotiate, and
Yes.
what are your limitations actually, and what are the avenues for getting new input actually, and what you want. Okay, and how your supervisor can help you. Now, Dr. Gul mentioned that her supervisor just was checking the grammar. Yes, I used to do the same thing, because English is not our first language. But after some time, I got some technology, some tools actually, which I am just sponsoring to my students by using our fundings, or we are just asking a student, okay, you can utilize this tool to get rid of these, the silly or those minor errors of English language and all these things. Because first impression is the last impression. If I see some document with a full of mistakes and error, I really get no mood to go through that document actually.
True.
Even though that document is fantastic, aim and objective focus, everything is to the point, but again, it's full of errors actually. And the editing is the most important, because first impression, how you can present your document actually. You look very nice actually, but when you speak, is no one really can understand. Again, it's a problem. So
Yes.
if you are not lucky enough, and if you got imposed with someone actually who is not you wanted to get actually, then you have to sit and talk nicely, and negotiate with that person actually. And then at least, on a cup of coffee, talk casually actually. So
Yeah.
probably after some time actually, you can meet at the point where you can uh, the mutual understanding, where you can have some win-win situation, rather than cursing that, no, I'm in a fault, or I got a faulty supervisor, or probably after 1 year also you just wasted your time actually, because supervisor won't be having an interest in your research if you don't push him.
True. True.
because he is not
So,
having only one super student. Actually, probably he is having a number of students actually.
yes,
And
True.
like in my university, I have seen we have like 6 7 8 students also. If my student don't allow me, trigger me WeChat or WhatsApp message to me, actually after 2 months I'm almost forgetting what exactly that he or she was doing. So it's
True.
their job to alarm us, because it's not only, because we have to understand from different perspective. From supervisor perspective also, he's not having only supervisory job. He's
Yes.
having like it's like a non-ending list of jobs actually. So it's a student's job also. I just want to add on one more point. When there was a question about PhD is a full-time or part-time job or something like that.
Yes.
Full, it's more than full-time job actually. It's more than full-time job. And most
It's
of
a
the
single
time the
time.
ideas used to come when we hit the bed actually in the mid of the night.
True.
I could do that thing in that order. So find the compatible time. Actually, you can do your work in the daytime or morning time. I'm a night person. I can just switch off everything and concentrate on my word file. Simple, actually, because in a night after 2 a.m. there's no one to disturb you. Simple, and there's no WeChat or WhatsApp or email or your
Any.
family member or anything. Actually, there's no disturbance. So find your compatible time as well as the environment. It's no more that sitting in the dark rooms. The PhD is a very hard job. No, it's not actually. Get
yes.
a vacation and do your PhD. Done. So
Yeah.
go to the beach. Go to any of the environment actually which you like actually. With
True.
a cup of coffee, you can just finish your a few articles reading. Normally, when I used to review any of the article, I don't sit on the laptop. Still I'm printing. I need a hard copy actually, because I go around on a walk, or probably in a garden, or probably in a park, or anywhere actually, where I can just go through and just pin out the problems in that article. Like, so it's a compatibility with the supervisor, with the environment, with the time, etc., etc. Thank you.
Yeah. That's incredible, Dr. Jatish Kumar. Very nicely said, and you have given the practical solutions that just go and see and have a cup of tea with your supervisor or cup of coffee with supervisor and discuss the things and sort it out before it gets worse. And the
Yeah.
same thing, you answered the another question very well as well. And by the way, we also did I did my PhD with the not a full time but double time because I used to sit in the lab and I used to sleep in the lab just because to finish the things on time, etc. Very nicely compiled, very nicely said. Okay, we have very interesting 3 4 questions, a series of questions regarding the upcoming question, which I will be telling one by one. Okay, the serious concerns of the students is what does future hold for upcoming PhDs? Concern about future, because there are a lot of PhDs coming from different countries. So, what is the future of upcoming PhDs? So, let me just start with the Dr. Ghulam Rasool. Yes, please. What's your take on that?
I would like to say that it's too early to think too much about what will happen with the future. Uh, I think when you enter into PhD, your whole life will be changed. Your way of thinking will be changed, and the most important thing when you enter in PhD is that you start criticizing yourself. Before that, uh, most of us, we used to get the admiration, and we used to be happy with the praises of the people, whether they are true or fake. We just like having a nice comment, we just happy with it. But when you enter into PhD, you just start criticizing yourself. When you start, for example, you are looking for a direction in PhD. One day you are thinking one topic, the other day you will say to yourself, no, yesterday you was wrong, this is not going to be the truth. The next day will be the different thinking will come, and that's the every day your life is going to change. So it's too early to say what will give you a confidence of PhD. Let's go into PhD, spend those years in PhD, and after that, of course, there are many things we know in PhD and because personally, when I left my school as my school is good, you know, into PhD, I said, okay, I will see what will happen after PhD. Let me go for PhD. Let me do it first. Now, once I have finished, I see the world differently. I don't care about the job. It's not, of course, it is necessary for a living. It is necessary to have some money in your pocket for the living. But of course, this is the reality that we need money. But with that, you start thinking, your thinking is changed, and you really don't care about the job or future or what will happen. You just start living with the present, because the PhD is not a simple thing. It is a kind of a life changing thing, and once you are entered into it, so then the things will be changed. So you don't need to care about what will happen after the 4 years of PhD. Let us think about what will happen during those 4 years of PhD, and then we will see what will happen in the future. So it's too
Okay.
early to think too much about those beyond the 4 years.
All right, very nicely said. Don't worry about the future, just focus on your present, and
Yeah,
tomorrow will take care itself, right? Yeah,
of
very
course.
nicely said. Okay, Dr. Cole, what's your take on that? What is the future of PhD? How about in Turkey? A lot of PhD graduates are coming out and they are graduated. So, what is their future over in Turkey?
Mhm. Many thanks for your question, Professor Aider. I would like to say that there is a big market in the education industry, and there's also PhD education, um, because in some universities, many supervisors have many salaries by your PhD students. So maybe in some universities can be opened to PhD programs only for gaining more money. This is not good, because we should think that after many students finish their PhD degree, what will they do by your license, by your degree? And firstly, we should ask this question to ourselves as supervisors before the students, because students can have ambitions and can have a desire to doing a PhD, but we think with a global, with a national level. With, for example, we should look at education planning and policy, and after this, we can open some PhD programs. And also, this question is very popular in the Turkey, because more and more students want to make a PhD degree. And also, I would like to say that after you finish your PhD degree, you should have more holistic training. You should have more career guidance. You should more collaboration during your schoolmates and schools, and you should relate it with, you should make a relation your PhD degree with some software programs, because in the future we need so much to software programs. And also, if we want to think about the future of PhD, this is not all of them. in the future. For example, the prediction of the PhD education maybe will not be true, but the training program, I would like to say that is mainly designed to develop a person as a cutting edge of researcher, and the PhD program creates new knowledge. This is a difficult kind of profession, and everyone has the desire to skill to finish it. Many people get into PhD programs not realizing that is a very specialized kind of professional training, but many of them thinks that there is a big opportunity to realize their old dreams. PhD research only more research in our area, very huge area. But there are many different academicians in our research area. I would like to say that they think that quite wrongly, and also this some kind of incremental progression from undergraduate studies. In our students, many more students would like to get a PhD thesis and education also. And many people who apply and get into PhD programs because they have a good academic records are absolutely failures at cutting edge of research. They don't have the patience to learn what is already known, and they are unable to calculate the imagination needed to create new knowledge. For these people, there are superb and fulfilling careers in applied research, and maybe, for example, lawyers, public health specialists, and tourism workers, economists are some well-paid and fulfilling profession that do not require pushing against the hard line of the unknown. The primary criteria for admission to a PhD program is that the candidates know him or herself and know what they want to a career, be willing to make sacrifices in order to be a great creative researcher and scholar. For others, there are all those other great profession, I think. And I would like to say that, lastly, um, before we doing a PhD research, we should think everything. We should think our topic. We should know every or mainly research area in our science, and we should know our supervisors' backgrounds and curriculum vitae, everything as a student. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Gul, for such a comprehensive answer. Very nicely said. Okay, let me just ask the Miss Sundas Azim that since we have a lot of candidates as a PhD, and we are receiving PhDs from Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, China as well. Since you are a faculty member as well in the ZBest, so how do you see? How can you see? What would be the competitive market for the indigenous PhDs and the people who are being graduated from foreign countries? So how do you see the future of PhDs in Pakistan?
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Dr. Heather. This is a very important question, especially when we hear about colleagues and potential candidates who speak of having to go through a PhD indigenously, and then having having some sort of fear that they might have to compete with foreign qualified individuals in the future. So yes, obviously, if we speak in terms of employability, the market is competitive, and obviously, especially because in Pakistan, I'm not sure about elsewhere, but we talk about certain academically advanced countries, and then there are certain academically advancing or progressing countries, right? So if you have a lot of individuals coming from, who have earned their PhDs from academically advanced countries, relatively advanced, which have more extensive PhD systems than we do here in Pakistan, such as Turkey, Malaysia, and of course, why not Germany, Canada, Australia? Then obviously, yes, the market does become competitive. But I need to point out, and I cannot stress this enough, that a foreign qualification itself does not preclude the possibility of you becoming a better candidate for employability if you have a better research record, right? So it's a myth. Since we're speaking about myths about PhD, it's very much a myth that PhDs from your home country, they are not as valuable as PhDs from academically advanced countries. It comes down to the effort that you have put in and the research profile that you've been able to create over time. So yes, the future is bright because the future is, research oriented, based on the progress that humankind is making based on research. Yes, it is competitive, but it is very important that you realize that even though people who earning their degrees in academically advanced countries have an extensive network of contacts, probably they have more exposure of attending and arranging conferences and presenting papers in conferences, and traveling different places for their data, and then they have exposure to research gurus out there, the people who we read in books and in research papers. Foreign people who go for PhDs abroad, they actually meet them in person, and they quite often have workshops attending with them. Obviously, they are more skilled, but there have been many instances in which people who earned their PhDs in local, their home countries, they have been able to create a very strong research profile. They have published in top tier journals, and they have actually gone on to become faculty members in universities in those academically advanced countries. So yes, the future is competitive, but having said that, it is very important that you rely on your own abilities. I'm speaking to people who are still undergoing their PhD process and who are thinking of joining a PhD program in the near future. Yes, it is competitive, but there's no reason to be fearful or anxious about it. It all comes down to the quality of supervision that you get and the amount of effort that you are willing to put in. Now, for some reason, I'm sensing that many of the questions that you have asked before are coming together in my answer. I might want to add also, since we are speaking about supervision, without doubt, when you're choosing a supervisor, it's extremely important that the person is working in the same domain as yourself, as many of you already have highlighted. But to be more explicit for potential candidates who are seeking admission into a PhD program in the future, I'm just going to tell you 3 things that you need to check. First of all, without doubt, it should be somebody who has supervised a couple of candidates before you. Okay, you should not at least be willing to become the experiment of a supervisor. You shouldn't be the first one to be supervised by somebody. You cannot take that risk with yourself. Okay, so if it's not if it's not a supervisor who has supervised maybe a dozen PhDs before you, at least half a dozen, or at least a couple of PhD supervisions before you, it is very important for you to check that. Okay, number one, extremely important. Secondly, they should have a good research record. Extremely important. Okay, so PhD is a training for your research, right? It's like training you to become an independent researcher. A supervisor who does not himself or herself has a good research record, you cannot expect, they're humans also. I'm not putting down anybody, but it's very much realistic. You cannot expect them to have you produce quality papers and a quality thesis if they have not had the exposure or the opportunities to learn and publish in good journals, right? So whatever you are aiming for, that is the quality of supervision that you should be aiming for. That is the second thing I would say you should look for. Third, I would stress this again. Obviously, the quality of publications, regardless from where your supervisor has had their qualification, whether or not it was from their home country or from an academically advanced countries, their quality of publication record is important. But in addition to that, if they have a good proven record, and if you have the opportunity, if you have to choose between a person who has a good research record and somebody who is a PhD from an academically advanced country and has a good research record, that would be the better person you would want to go for. So these are a few things that I was noting down as others were speaking. I believe I've taken a lot of your time. Thank you.
No, no, no. It's very nice that you have answered the two questions. Thank you very much for your insight for that. Okay, Dr. Jatish Kumar, we have two questions for you. One we have just got online, which I would like to ask first, and then we can move to the important question. There is one question from the Noman Abbas that, Sir Jatish Kumar, how can we find and contact a supervisor in foreign countries for PhD? A very simple question. If you can answer quickly so that we can take another question. Yes, please.
Noman, thank you so much for this question. Actually, the profile of all the supervisor, academician, researcher in number of universities is available on their website. Just Google it, go on LinkedIn, go on a research profile, ResearchGate, academia. There are different platforms nowadays available, or you can find their Facebook, you can find their email address if you just Google about the particular person. So to check the profile on the different websites, so first you sort it out, like what are the universities you can look for, or what are the right person you can target to actually. So have a list of 5, 6, 10 people actually, and then try to find the direct contact actually, and not necessary that when if you are emailing them, that email will really reach to them. Sometime it can go to the spam, sometime it or the supervisor, that professor can overlook your email also. Again, so try to find different ways that how to contact that right person which you have sorted out in hundreds actually, those 5 10%. So everything is available online on different websites actually.
Yeah.
And if you find it still hard to find the right person, talk to probably your senior, probably someone you know, someone your friend's brother, brother's friend, XYZ in that particular country. They can at least guide you to how to sort it out or list down, or shrink your list accordingly. I hope
Yeah.
I answered the question,
Very
Heather.
nicely said. Yeah, you have just told the venues as well, that where the platforms from where they can get it, and this is the simplest answer I believe that they could have. That LinkedIn, you have explained the profile, the email address, all the things. Even you have mentioned the Facebook as well. So we have multiple platforms through which we can interact with them. Okay, the heavyweight question for you is the very common myth is all PhDs go into academia. Is it true or is it myth? The PhDs are only good at academia? Yes, please.
No, really don't think so. When I started my PhD, I really don't wanted to enter in academia actually, because uh, of different reason actually. But the your 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 freak, or probably your what you call your luck will drag you somewhere actually. It will find the path where you want to go actually. So if you are already in academia, like Madam Sundar Sazim, actually she is a lecturer in one of the university, right? So she has already confirmed a profile actually, and she just took the, probably she has taken the leave and to finish the PhD, like how Dr. Heather have done earlier also. So it's already confirmed path. But if you are doing something, you are working in the industry, and all of a sudden you want to go for PhD, but later you want to return to industry, or you want to enter to academia. So it's all up to you. And it's not necessary that you will be ending up with academia only. You can work by your own as a consultant actually. You can join any of the number of NGOs, number of institutions at the world level actually, who used to hire the researcher, because you won't be a lecturer after gaining a PhD. You will be a perfect researcher actually. So researcher is not ending only with the university. Researchers has a job to research about anything. And beside universities, there are number of research institutes, research companies actually, whose job is just to conduct research, and they need these PhDs actually. Just want to add on a little more on it. uh, about the supervisor's role, and about this PhD. Actually, this 3-year PhD, of course, you are going to see lots of ups and downs, but it's not only the 3 year. Actually, your life will be totally 100%, 110% different before PhD and after PhD. Actually, you will be having a number of skills. Your thinking, your analytical, your critical, your all the skills are developed already, all very well polished. And you are not going to end the relationship with your supervisor until there is a serious dispute, actually, for God's sake. Because you have a published and you have learned, he or she is going to be your mentor, actually, who is going to guide you throughout your life, actually, throughout your life, where to do, what to do. And you will be publishing with him or her as well after finishing PhD. Then your relation will be slightly upgraded from uh, uh, PhD candidate to a colleague, actually, because at that period you will be also supervising if you are in academia, actually, if you are a university student. Now I come back to the point what Sundar Azim have started, that please find a supervisor that who have already supervised few, and
Yes.
you don't be ending up being a experimental for that person. My dear Sundar, I respect your point, actually, but in that way, how you are going to do the experiment, how you are going to do that? Because if everyone is going to find someone who have already supervised, then how about us, actually, who never supervised? Well, thanks God we are supervising and we have already graduated. But if the very first student, when I got, actually, if school, if university, if students, everyone was thinking that Jitesh doesn't have experience, I shouldn't go under his supervision, then I won't be getting anyone.
Yes.
Okay, we have finished our PhD, and we have again teaching experience during PhD also, because we are supposed to teach, we are supposed to finish that particular number of hours to supervise students also, who is like extra job with your supervisor. You are learning lots of things. It's not only you have signed up that he is my supervisor, he's going to guide me or track me or drag me on my right path, and to he's going to let me finish my PhD on time. Yes, but you are learning several things, teaching, supervisory skills as well, and research, and lots of other things, actually, lots of several things, actually, which we really can't list down here also. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Satish. What you have
Can
said is
I
very
add to that? Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Heather,
Deepesh,
I
for
hope
pointing
I
out
have
the
concluded the answer.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Satish, for your answer. Very nicely said. Dr. Ghulam Rasul, we have a very interesting question for you. One person is just highlighting your name, that Sir Ghulam Rasul, why do you think people in Pakistan always have to extend their duration of PhD and can't complete it in time? And how to overcome that, since you have been in Pakistan as well, and now you have the exposure of a foreign country and you are working there as well. So just can you shed some light on that, that why people in Pakistan, they always go for extension in their work? What are the probably reasons for that?
Okay, that's really a technical question because I have been there in administration as well, so I know many aspects. But first, I would like to go back to Sundar Azim. I was thinking when she was
Yes.
said. So, first thing when she said that, uh, I would like to politely disagree with her argument that you should go for the inexperienced supervisor, not for the fresh supervisor. It's a gentle disagreement. Her thoughts are different. Everybody has different perception and different experience during the PhD. But personally, I would like to say that it doesn't matter whether he has supervised a student or not. What matters is the compatibility of your research, that what you are going to do in the next 4 years with that person. Now, another important thing, if, for example, if you are going to a fresh supervisor, I personally believe that he will put a lot of energy, he will spend a lot of his time, because you are not only his student, her student, you are a task for him. If he fails to supervise you, it will be a mark on his rest of his profile. He will give you an extra effort, although he is not experienced enough to supervise you in a better way, but he will give a lot of his energy, a lot of his time, because he is struggling. He's just taking a fresh step into his professional life. So
True.
he will make you totally independent. If you are going to a senior supervisor who don't have enough time, he will just hand over you to a senior student, and that's it. Now you are totally dependent on one of your senior student. But if you are going directly with a new supervisor, I'm not saying that don't go to the senior supervisor. Every supervisor is important. Everyone, they have different ways, they have different struggles in their life. So a fresh supervisor will give you a lot of different positive aspects beside that experimental thing. So
Yeah.
that's a polite disagreement with Sundas. And another thing, of course, she said that when you are going abroad for PhD, and people say that doing PhD from abroad is better than the native country. Of course, it's somehow better, because when you go abroad, you have a lot of exposure, because PhD is not just an educational journey of 4 years. It is going to be your entire life, and it will tell you, it will give you the way of life. So when you go out, despite those research matters with the supervisor and PhD and education and grades, when you go out in a different social life, your exposure will be different. When I came from Pakistan, although China, and then when we have different perceptions about China when we are in Pakistan, everybody they think that it is the least option to go to China. But still, I am very happy today that I went out of Pakistan. I'm not saying that Pakistan, a PhD from Pakistan is not good. No, every PhD matters, every from everywhere. But when you go to a different country, you have different exposures and different learning. That matters a lot. That is a bonus. But
Right.
of course, if you talk about the research, then PhD is equal whether you do it from Bhutan, Pakistan, India, or Bangladesh. Every PhD is equal, because what you have done during your PhD, that matters. Nothing else matters. Now, talking about the question that one of student raised, that why students in Pakistan they face the extension matters. There are many technical aspects, especially in Pakistan, and especially the universities now, uh, especially those old universities. The system is manual. I think that the supervisor list of the external supervisor, which are which you when you send your thesis to some other country for evaluation, the list of external supervisors is not updated. I have my fellows who are waiting for their PhD thesis evaluation for 1.5 year. Like, they did they finished their thesis in 2 years, and now they are waiting for the evaluation for almost 2 years. So now think about it, how pity is it? This is not because of this is not the big fault of the student, not the fault of the supervisor. This is the some kind of fault, technical fault, which we need to update. And most of the the new universities, especially ComSets, I also have studied from ComSets, and I also have studied from Qaid Azam University, and I also have done job there. So I know many things, but the universities which are updating their infrastructure, they are working hard on it about the time period of doing all the things. So there is of course there are some many technical issues. Because of that, every student has to get extension, and this should be addressed anyhow, because we have to cope up with the technological developments.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Rasool. Very nicely said the things. And once I was listening to one professor at one conference, he actually was saying the same thing, and you as you mentioned that if you take the young supervisor, that is good in terms of that he would be aware of latest softwares, latest techniques, latest methodologies, and he would know the recent literature. Since you know that the full supervisor, they hardly find time for such things. And what you said is we had been doing the same thing, that our supervisor most of the time would say that please guide my master student in analysis and these things, because they don't have that much time, and we respect that thing as well. So by taking the young supervisor, because you will be his first product, so he would recognize himself as that my product is very well, and
Of
he
course,
would give you a lot of
he has
time.
to invest. Yeah,
I would
he's going to invest.
request you to, Dr. Heather, I would request you to let me add to that.
Yes.
Obviously, yes, and I stand by my comment, because we need to realize, Dr. Jitesh and Dr. Ghulam, you did speak somewhere about the your supervisions, right? I'm assuming you already have some students to supervise, so it's not like you haven't supervised anybody.
Yeah.
In fact, I myself stand to, in front of my own comment, because I still have yet to supervise any PhDs. So you realize this is not about others, but it also applies to me. Having
Yeah.
said that, it means that I will work harder to create a strong research profile, right? We need to understand that we're answering questions of potential PhD candidates. So this discussion is about them. It is not about our careers as potential supervisors. So yes, it's very important to us that we get students who are committed. And yes, it's important to our profile and our career that we do have PhD supervisions to our name. But right now, if I have a student of mine who comes to me for advice, and they ask me who they should go for supervision, and they have two choices, most likely I'm likely to suggest to them go with the supervisor who has at least some experience in the past. We cannot preclude the idea that that is more realistic, and for whatever reasons, yes, new super sorry new supervisors do have more analytical skills, but I'm talking about people who have a good research profile and who also have supervision experience. I've seen a number of people now, since we are talking openly, I've seen a number of PhD candidates suffer because they were being supervised by people who were not as experienced, and they are told, go and read this, and now go and do that, and perform correlation, and they do not really have an idea of how to publish a paper themselves in top tier or quality journals. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying somebody's PhD is not worth it. Everybody's PhD is important, but we need to realize that this discussion is about students who are seeking to have their concerns clarified. And obviously this comment applies to me more than it applies to you. I realize
That's
that.
yeah.
I
Let me
would like
just
to add
conclude
that.
that thing. Yeah, let me just conclude that thing. What Dr. Jitesh and Dr. Ghulam Rasul has said, what I got from their notion, that we must see the person in terms of his capabilities.
Yes,
We must see the person profile, research profile, what he has been done, and as a student, we must see whether our area matches with his area of
yeah.
expertise, whether he is capable or
Compatibility is
not.
most
Yes.
important.
Yes, that is the most important. And what we have seen in foreign countries, even our supervisor, that we used to communicate our supervisor that my area is this, and I'm preparing my proposal on this topic, and it matches with your expertise. So would you be able to supervise us, etc., etc. That is actually to have the research compatibility, because in research world we want to enter to learn, and this is a process. And I like the Dr. Jagdish Kumar one comment. It's just a process which will not only shape your thinking, it will shape your whole life,
Yes,
because yes, it will enhance your analytical skill, it will enhance your skills, your thinking process, your way of seeing the things, the world perspective. All these things matters a lot. That's why most of the time I say to my PhD student that PhD is not a degree, it's the perspective, that it will shape your life for lifelong time. So that's why we are here, to remove the doubts of the students, in order to understand that PhD is a very beautiful journey, even though it is hard, but it is beautiful to take, and you will enjoy this path for lifelong. Okay, we have very interesting another question. So I would like to have a comment from the Dr. Gul on that. That the question is, if you were good at undergrad studies, only then you will be good at PhD program. This myth is right or wrong?
Um, yes, Professor. Firstly, I would like to add something to Professor Kumar's question. I have many friends who wants to be an academician after taking a PhD, but in these times, there are some students who wants to go into industry, in the tourism industry after having a PhD degree, because a qualified person in the tourism industry by getting a PhD degree is so important. And for example, if a tourism manager in the hotel with a PhD degree can get an easy level in the hotel departments. But if you don't have education level, the owner of the hotels can think that you don't need many more, only your undergraduate level, because having an undergraduate level is so normal in these times. And also after the COVID-19 times, there is a big reality, and this is also virtual education. And we think this is so normal. And after these times, our education system can change completely. People can take your undergraduate level by virtually, and also can work on the tourism industry or other industry. And after they can finish your education level and take the degree, they would like to work on industry. They would like to gain money, salary, and also during this time they would like to continue their educations, for example, PhD or masters. So having an education, PhD education level is so normal in the future, I think. And as the undergraduate level, people or sorry students wants to have more education level, for example master level, PhD level, or they would like to different course, different master programs in our education in the tourism department. For example, making a master in archaeology, or in the for example, what can I say, for example economy or marketing department, is so multiple qualification, having a good degree in the tourism industry. So when we think about the undergraduate level, having a PhD degree, yes, is so big qualifications for going into academicians, or being academicians. But this is not only qualifications being academicians, because there are more qualifications for this. In this session, I share very important and prominent academicians, and I would like to make gratitude for this. And I think absolutely that this is not only, for example, taking a PhD degree, this is not only main requirement. They can say many more things for getting a PhD degree. And I would like to also agree all my colleagues, dear colleagues, for they are saying related with these words. Thank Professor.
Thank you very much. Nicely said, Dr. Gul. Okay, Dr. Jatish Kumar, we have another one question for you and for Dr. Ghulam Rasul as well. They say that PhD is such a tough journey. The question is PhDs do not have time for anything but for PhD. Is it true or is it myth? Yes. Yes, Dr. Jatish Kumar, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, but sorry, I couldn't hear your question. Sorry,
Yeah.
would you mind to repeat,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, the question is PhD is such a heavy journey that the question is PhDs do not have time for anything but for PhD. Is it true or not?
As mentioned earlier, PhD is a full-time job. Okay, and
Yes.
you have to be very serious and sincere with yourself if you want to finish your PhD within time frame, as you have
Yeah.
entered, so you have already made some mind, and you have all, it doesn't mean that you have to compromise with lots of things. Actually, if you have a plan several things properly, actually, your funds, your timing, your family, everything, then you shouldn't be suffering. But
True.
if you didn't decide and all of a sudden, okay, simple example over here, if you have just started the PhD and the second year you are getting married, so you are
Yes.
like destroying two things, actually, your marriage life as well as your PhD, actually. So you have to
Yes.
finish one wedding first, okay,
Yes.
your PhD first, and then you decide about the marriage life or any other decision which is like, that heavy or serious decision in your life. So it's not that heavy, it's not that hectic, actually, it's not that hard, or there's no intelligence, well, intelligence or billions required. Actually, it's just a hard work and your own sincerity with
Yeah.
yourself, that this is a
Yeah.
full-time job. It's not again 9 to 5 job. Actually, it's quite easier, it's compatible with your timing, your comfort, and so on. And again, finding the right supervisor who can understand you
Yeah.
and you can understand him or her, that's the most important. So
Yeah.
plan your things before you start this, because planning is the most essential and crucial element of anything. Execution won't be that harder if you plan nicely. So plan, list down for next 3 to 4 years, and then start.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Jatish Kumar. Okay, Dr. Ghulam Rasul, there is a question for you which is relevant to this one as well. That since you did your PhD abroad and now you are teaching as well in abroad, so how do you manage? Because it's very difficult to live in a different country. You have to look for the food and you have to look after all the things with the family as well. And then along with that, you did your PhD as well. So whether it was easy or difficult
Um, it's a
for upcoming
really
PhDs who are aspiring to do a PhD from abroad. So,
yeah.
what do you recommend? Is it difficult to do in abroad, or it will be easy for them to do in Pakistan?
I think if I talk about myself personally, I have learned um, cooking many things in during the this journey of PhD. So you can imagine that I have enough time to cook different food. So it's not about that PhD in during PhD you have time only for PhD and nothing else. It's not like that. Just like Jitesh said that it's about the finding the right time to do some work. In 24 hours, you can select which time is more convenient for you and more peaceful for you to do that thing. If I compare foreign students with the Chinese students, the Chinese students go to their lab early at around 7, and they leave the lab at about 11 p.m. or 12 midnight. Now, in between, they go for the food and all that, but they are supposed to be the part of the lab during this period. As compared to them, a foreign student enjoys everything during this period, and they usually do not go to the lab before 9, and they finish it by 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So it is just because they know which time is more suitable for them to work. Personally, I used to work during the night because I agree with the colleagues that they said during the night you don't have any disturbance, you have peace, you
Yes.
have every peaceful environment. And also, I am from Qaid-e-Azam University, and each scholar, each researcher of Qaid-e-Azam University, they are addicted to work at night. They in the hostels, if you visit, they are working at night. So maybe that habit is also with me, but I personally feel that it is up to you to decide which time is right. A good handsome 2 hours working, good working 2 hours in the 24 hours. If you find those 2 hours, you are done with those 24 hours. So it's
Yes.
not about that during PhD you have to think about PhD and nothing else. You can enjoy everything 24 by 7. I'm available on social media and everywhere. I'm not pulling myself that I'm something better than anyone. No, I'm just telling that how it goes. it,
Yes.
it depends on you how to choose and which time is right for you to work. So they're just manage yourself. And when I talk to my students, I always tell them that this education, the PhD education, is not about getting the piece of paper. It is about building your character. It is
Wonderful.
about building your attitude. If you find that attitude during the journey of PhD, you have done with PhD. Your PhD is worth. If you don't find and if you don't build your character, if you don't build your attitude, then I think that piece of paper will be a trouble for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if you are done with your character and you made it right, then you don't need to worry about it. So it's up to you that how you manage the thing. So it is your these 3 to 4 years, they are actually meant for you to reshape your body, to reshape your attitude, to reshape your body language. If you are done with that, then your rest of your life will be very easy and happy. So you can manage the things according to your convenience.
Yeah, that's incredible, Dr. Ghulam Rasool. I like the phrase very well that it's all about building the character and attitude,
Yeah.
which will be presenting in your whole life. What a
Yes.
nicely put in words. Thank you very much for such a nice answer. Okay, I take the last question, and I want all of you opinion on that. So we start with Ms. Sundas Azim regarding the same question.
First,
Yes,
I would like to interrupt. I just see a comment from any student, and he asked me by
yes.
mentioning my name that how will you compare the education of China with the for other European countries.
Yes, yes,
I
please.
I would simply like to say that if you got an opportunity to go to the European countries, the bonus part of that journey will be that you will get much exposure in terms of collaboration, in terms of your conversation with the people over there, in terms of your social life. All those things, they will be bonus for you if you go to the European countries as compared to China. If you come to China, everything is just same like the European countries, but one is a very major component, that is the language barrier, and you cannot communicate with your lab fellows and all. And you even some supervisors, they are
Yes,
also not good in English, so you have like the communication problem is always there. So exposure is less as compared to the European countries. So I would like to say that you first must go, if you get an opportunity to the European countries, must go over there. But I'm not saying that China is a bad option. Every country, I would like to stand by with my comment that
yes,
by the end of the day, your degree, what you have done during your PhD, that matters. Where you have done it, that doesn't matter. You
true.
have to work hard. That is your profile. That will be that burden you will carry throughout your life. What you have done during your PhD.
Yes,
That's it.
wonderful. And that's what we say, build your profile, prove
Yeah.
yourself by
Prove yourself.
publication. Yes, that is what recognition. Let the world recognize your work. Let them
Yeah.
cite you. Let them recognize your work. So very
Yes.
nicely said. Thank you very much because we took a lot of questions. So that's why I let it go that question. But thank you. You took up the question and you answered very well. Okay, we take the last
Okay.
question,
Doc-
which is
Doctor,
very common. Yeah, the question is, what was the most difficult stage in your PhD, and how did you overcome it? So I will take all of you for speakers on that. So I start with Ms. Sundar Sazim. What was the most difficult stage in your PhD, and how did you overcome that? A tip for the upcoming PhDs.
Okay, thank you for your question, Dr. Heather. Uh, okay, let me be realistic. There are numerous times in your PhD when you might feel down, you might feel you're not going to get through it, when you feel that you are trying to look for some help and you are trying to look for some, somebody to push you and to give you that motivation, and then you might not always find that. So those times are really troublesome. The most difficult times for me were when I found myself in those situations, and when I actually thought that most probably, others around me are getting their degrees, and I, for some reason, am being delayed for whatever reason. The most difficult time is when you lack that motivation yourself. Okay, so the reason is not out there, it's not your supervisor. Obviously supervision is important, obviously the guidance you get is important, but one of the most important abilities that you need as a PhD is the willingness to jump back from those lows that you will find yourself in. I believe those were the most difficult times when I myself lacked the motivation and the drive because I wasn't finding any way forward, or when I believe that I probably have reached a dead end and there might be a possibility that I just might not be able to make out of it. So the reason is not out there. The reason is not the system or the supervisor or anything out there. The reason was within me when I was unable to see, you know, at times we fail or we are reluctant to contact people, okay, to talk to people. We need guidance from seniors, we need guidance from others who have done PhD in the same or different fields. So uh, being the willingness to be open is essential, and the moment you find yourself stuck in that position, I believe that was when I found myself in the most difficult situation. It was not out there, I found it within me at times.
Thank you very much for your answer, Ms. Sundar Sazim. Okay, Dr. Gul, your answer to that. What was the most difficult stage in your PhD, and how did you overcome that?
Yes. I think there are many challenges, times, struggles doing PhD. For example, I remembered in my PhD times, my hairs completely lost, and also I have lost too much weight. I remembered also my hairs and my face looks very ugly. But apart from that, there are many bad feelings related with them. For example, isolation, stress, or maybe we can conflict with our supervisor, as before we discuss, and maybe we can't find enough money for doing our research, and maybe we can't make time management well. And also another important part is work-life balance. And maybe we can feel that we haven't enough support from our institutions, universities, because some universities are better than others at supporting PhD students. So the best universities have programs, and some researchers can choose these universities, and also can go abroad for this reason. And also we need sometimes some personal support from our husbands, from our mothers, elder brothers, or child maybe. And also we need relaxing words are our future, because worrying about our future maybe can create a failure in the PhD thesis. So there are maybe needs some plannings and policy in our governments, in the national parts, to relate it with researchers' future. And also the mainly part is motivation also, because motivation is everything. And I think if we have a dream, motivation can shine related and by our dreams. So we keep up our dreams and also motivation. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Gul.
Yeah.
Okay, we take the Dr. Ghulam Rasul. Yes, please. What was your most difficult stage and how did you overcome that?
I would like to say that I had two difficult stages uh, to go for a PhD. The first was just before PhD when I was going to start it, and it was uh, quitting the job, permanent job, government job from Pakistan, having 12 years in that job. So it
Oh,
is a very difficult decision to go into PhD, but
yes.
I am happy that I made the risk. I took that decision. So I stand by with my initial comment that making decision that want to go for PhD or not is very important. Once you
True.
have made that decision, 50% of your PhD is done. So that is the first part. I I'm happy that I made that decision. The second part is, of course, when you start to look for the direction of your thesis and to go for different new ideas, it is very critical. And of course, a huge amount of research has already been done in all the fields. So it becomes very difficult to find a new topic and all those things. And at this stage, your mind stops working. It seems like that you are nothing, you're failed. But I believe and I would like to say that that is the point where your fate is going to be changed.
True.
At that time, don't give up. If you don't give up, then the next day you will find the way out. Just believe in your luck. And I would like to say that if your PhD does not make you cry during your PhD, it's not a PhD. So
Oh,
once, at least during the journey of your PhD, you have to cry. Once you are done, you remember that when we are learning the cycling, they used to say that once you fell down the cycle, you will learn it
yes.
because the fear in your mind is gone away by falling down first time from the bicycle. That
Yes.
is the same thing when during finding the direction in PhD.
Yes.
Once it made you cry, that fear
Yes.
is gone.
Yeah.
Now your life is changed and then everything goes smooth. So
True.
the important thing is don't give up. If you have
Right.
decided to go for PhD, don't give up, just go for it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Rasul. And you could remind me what I used to say my students, MPhil, MS, PhD students, that I proudly say that I cried a lot in my PhD, and
Yeah, everybody.
yeah, and through this way I learn a lot. Yes, I proudly say in my class that I cried a
You
lot
should
so many
you
times,
should
even with
everybody.
my colleagues. They were
Yeah.
crying, I was crying. Yeah, and that made me strong. That
Yes,
through this,
everybody should be
yeah, we
proud
learn.
of that tear.
Yes,
Everybody should be proud of that moment when you cried during PhD because
yes,
that tear has turned your fate. Now
true.
you are on the right path. Your fear of the mind is gone away.
Yes, and that's why my
We've all
seniors
been
they used to
depressed
say
during
that
PhD.
yeah,
We've all been
that,
depressed. Our hair has fallen off. We've become ugly. We've all gone through that. I believe all of us would agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I would agree with Dr. Gul that I have lost my hairs.
yeah.
That's the only
Even
part of my PhD.
my hairs grow, they went gray. Yeah, because of the PhD. That is the gift I could see. Yes. So thank you very much for reminding my words that I used to say. Yeah, you have to cry in order to have a real PhD. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yes, that's what I used to say. Yes, Dr. Jitish Kumar, finally, we would take your comment on that. What was the difficult stage in your PhD and how did you overcome that?
Well, thank you, Heather. There were lots of issues actually, but I will be talking about those issues after answering this one question of Aisha Ahmed. The girl is getting married in early years of her PhD, then how she is going to manage this both life? My dear, again, it's a management, time management and
True.
negotiation with your husband as well as with your supervisor,
Yes.
because both lives are important, both things are important actually, then
True.
only, because we have a plan, we have discussed, we have thoughts, and then we have taken that decision. So
Mm.
talk, discuss, and negotiate, both
True.
things have to go through timely actually. It doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice or we have to no other way actually, we have to manage. And we have seen number of couples actually, my colleagues, when I was doing my PhD. So like girl was doing PhD and the husband was like, he left his job and he was just dependent to that,
Yes.
because there the on dependency, they cannot work, they cannot do anything else. So lots of issues happens actually, but we have to plan it, and we have to manage those things actually. And everyone has its own limitation, like how you are going to manage those. So if you are having a funding issues or financial issue, then it's another concern, we have to sort it out, that how and where we can get these fundings actually. It relates to my PhD issues actually, what Dr. Heathers raised the question just now. I had issues. The very first issue was my meal actually, because I'm a pure vegetarian. So I was having a malnutrition issue actually, and which gave me a gift of intestinal tuberculosis on a very first semester of my PhD actually. So I traveled back to Pakistan. I was hospitalized for 2 months, and then I got rid of that, and then I came back to Malaysia and I started my. I mean, I continued my PhD, but I changed my diet completely. Okay, I
Okay.
started eating eggs from that onwards. So that was the one of the major constraint for me, because uh, being a pure vegetarian for like a 30 over years, and then started something which you never touched even in your life. The second thing was funding actually, because when I started my PhD, the aim was something, but after discussing with the main supervisor, co-supervisor, we wanted to get collect the data at a national level. But
Mm.
national level means throughout the Malaysia and the different states, travel, lots of cost is required. Of course,
Mm.
I was on a scholarship, but that scholarship cannot cover everything. So
True.
after having a good discussion with several bodies, actually, we decided to propose a proposal to institution who can be interested in our research. Okay, my research was on business events, business tourism. So we proposed a proposal, and then only I started writing the proposal for consultancy projects actually to myself, Malaysia Convention Exhibition Bureau, that you can please fund us to collect this data, and we will write you the report, that what are the constraint, what are the limitation, what are the issues in mice industry in Malaysia.
Yes.
So of course my supervisor and the other parties were also involved, who were quite interested, because it was not only PhD, it was a consultancy project also going on. So it gave some extra gift to my superior. And then time management actually, because being on a scholarship, of course we have to serve to our institution in terms of teaching, in terms of supervising undergraduates, in different jobs by your dean or your supervisors. So it was fine until the fifth semester actually, but the last semester, because I wanted to finish within the time frame, so the last semester I just wrote a nice email to my supervisor, including executive dean of the faculty actually, can you please give me a leave from this job for this semester, because this is the final semester, I want to finish everything. I don't want to extend for one semester or anything due to this particular cause, because teaching, supervision, and lots of other things actually, it was new job, and which gave me lots of uh, we can say something to learn, a new thing to learn. But over there we couldn't compromise on our PhD, because the last semester where we are supposed to submit everything, we wanted to go word by word with your thesis and so on. So it was approved actually after, again, negotiation. So I learned a negotiation skill nicely during this PhD, and then only we started saying no, because this word no is the most important actually. Being,
True.
getting a PhD, it doesn't mean that you are qualified for doing everything. You are a human, you are specialized for something actually. So
True.
that's why my supervisor used to say, this is your PhD and you go find out and teach me also. But my job is to drag you on a right path, that you shouldn't go here or there. So the same thing we are doing also with our PhD student. But thing is, uh, trying our best to give more effectively, more efficiently, more time, because we are new. Same time we are supervising 5 6 PhD students actually.
Yes.
So we are not giving our student to anyone else or any senior students. We are trying to help and support. So we have allocated the different days, a different couple of hours on a weekly basis, even though on a weekends also. So
Yes.
because we want to see the student, and when the student sees us after 3 weeks, after 4 weeks, actually, there is always something to learn from them. And before meeting them, we are spending 30 40 minutes to understand what exactly we are going to discuss in that meeting.
Definitely.
So it's
True.
it's it's like learning procedure, learning process for everyone, for supervisor as well, when we meet to the student from different profile with the different ideas and agendas. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. And even though all of the
I would
respected
like
speakers,
to,
we we have a lot of
Dr. Harris,
questions which are unanswered, but we will conduct another session of this myths about PhD, in which we will be again inviting you people to discuss the things. Yes, sir, Dr. Ghulam Rasul, you wanted to add something, please?
yeah, I would like to add something to the question raised by Aisha Ahmed,
Yes,
that
please.
a girl goes to marry in the early stage of PhD. I think you have to choose wisely, just like you have chosen your supervisor for PhD. Choose wisely your husband. If that guy is appropriate, he will stand by with you. Then your PhD will be much easier, as you were supposed to do it single-handedly. But if you have chosen a wrong guy, then quit him. Don't quit your goals. Don't give
Yes.
up on your goals. Just quit that guy. So
Yeah.
it depends on your choice, that how you have chosen the husband, just like you have chosen your supervisor.
Yes.
So don't
And
give up
that's,
on your goals.
yeah, and that's what I
So I
used
just
to tell
continue with
Dr.
the Ghulam
Ghulam,
Rasul actually.
that
So go for the
yes, please.
yes, Dr. Heather. Just
Yeah.
want to add on for 30 seconds. So just find the university, find the supervisor rather than a university. So find a husband rather than probably
Yes,
the family
dictator.
actually.
Don't
Yeah.
find a dictator. Find a husband.
Final husband.
Exactly.
Okay. What my personal slogans are, I used to tell my MS PhD student that the first is choose your supervisor wisely, and second is choose your topic wisely. Both will motivate or demotivate you in this whole journey. So that's very wonderful session with all of you. Thank you very much for your precious time and wonderful suggestion. And definitely we will conduct another session regarding this myths of PhD as well in the future. One final comment, final message as a researcher, trainer, as a PhD student. Please, your message to the world. What is your message? I start with Dr. Gul. Yes, please. Your final message to the audience, please.
Yes. During my PhD times, I should travel so much, because in my working city and in my education city is so far and different, and my travel way is only plane. When I was a plane, I read a magazine, and I saw the title in the magazine, and it was very effective for me. This is that I I'm motivated by my dreams. This sentence is so high importance for me because dreams the only things for finishing, continuing, quitting, the only way for us. So we shouldn't, as Professor Russell said, that we shouldn't give up our dreams. We
Yeah.
shouldn't continue believing our dreams, and we shouldn't hear the negative sayings and negative peoples. That's
Yeah.
all. Thanks for your professor.
Wonderful. Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Sundas Azim, what's your message to the world, please?
I would give the message to people who are facing some sort of difficulty during their PhD, because I personally faced a lot of those. So I would like to give a message to them. Once you are into a PhD program, there's no reason for you to quit. You will find a way out. Seek guidance, talk to your seniors, contact your co-supervisor, talk to other people who are maybe not directly your supervisors even, talk to people, seek help, and you will find a way out. You will find a way out. It's very sad in a way that somebody does not find the motivation to continue after facing so many difficulties. So yes, a PhD is a lot of investment in terms of time, effort, probably money, maybe not your own funds, maybe somebody else's, but yes, it's a lot of investment. You will find a way out. That's my message to you. You will find a way out. You just need to hang on there. That's very important. That's what I would like to tell everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now Dr. Ghulam Rasool, what's your message to the world, please?
I would, since this session is all about for PhD and going for PhD, so I would simply like to say to the people coming for this journey that that thing is obvious, that don't give up on your goals, but important thing is don't look at your PhD just as something to get the earning for the rest of the life. Instead, look at it as a learning, good session of 4 years, learning and building your character, building your attitude, and improving your flaws in your personality and all that. If you're done with that, then PhD, of course, once you are entered in PhD, the degree is yours. But the important thing is what you are getting out of this duration of the PhD degree. So improve your character. That is my final word.
Yeah, very nicely said. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Rasool. So, finally, Dr. Jitesh Kumar, yeah, what's your message to the world, please?
Just two things before starting the PhD. Like, if you have decided that yes, you are going to quit something what you are doing right now and you are going to start the PhD, please plan it properly.
Yeah.
Of course, once you are in, there will be lots of nightmare that you cannot, and you will be facing lots of limitation, hurdles, and all those things. So please plan it. If you are married, please plan it. Please negotiate. Please manage. What Glam Rasul nicely said, actually created well, it's not that easy in the most of the scenarios, but plan it. Plan management is the most important. Negotiation always applies actually. So plan your funds, plan your time management, plan everything. And most important thing, find the actual problem which you want to solve, which you want to, because that will be your aim, which will be your purpose of your study actually. Because normally, if you have an actual problem which you are going to, that is your aim, objective, hypothesis, research question, and the finding of your study, that you are about to solve that problem, or in a particular aspect. So once you have the problem, and how to get that problem, by reading the literature actually. Well, you don't know how to read the literature, you can discuss with any of your superior supervisor before approaching. You have already approached your supervisor, or proposed supervisor, potential supervisor, by writing a proposal. So in a proposal there are different templates by different universities actually. So seeking help from any superior is not a harm actually. And there's no late, there's no last moment or anything. It's always everything, every avenue is a learning avenue. And last word is finding the actual problem and planning and management of your timing, fundings, etc. Thank you.
Oh, very nicely said. Thank you very much, Dr. Jitesh Kumar. It was a very wonderful session with all of you. And this is the first time I'm doing the session with Dr. Ghulam Rasool and Sundas Azim. Thank you for so much nice and articulating things in a very wonderful way. And we have conducted sessions with Dr. Jitesh Kumar and Dr. Gul. It was so nice. And again, it was a so good session. It was so learning session. I could remind my so many things which you people were discussing, that how did we go through all the situations. It's really great, and thank you very much all of the respected speakers to give your precious time and have given the practical solutions to the upcoming PhDs who will be actually leading the world along with us in collaboration. So thank you once again. And viewers, that comes to the end of this session. And inshallah, in future, we will be bringing more sessions with such speakers. So stay in touch. Don't forget to subscribe this channel and support us. Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.